God always uses simple things, easy to understand, so really we have no excuse. In chapter 119 and verse 160, Thy word is true from the beginning. Every one of Thy righteous judgments endureth forever. We're reminded of the fact that God's law is constant. There are laws and principles that always have been and always will be. Unchanging, if you will. Now notice what God says about the wicked. Exodus 23 and verse 7, I will not justify the wicked. Again in Psalm 7 and verse 11, God judgeth the righteous and God is angry with the wicked every day. Psalms 119 and verse 155, salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not Thy statutes. And then finally in chapter 9 and verse 17, the wicked shall be turned into hell. Now this verse always gets my attention. Doesn't matter how many times I read it. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. Isn't that tragic? We cannot read that with any pleasure. Sometimes we're heard to say, oh, well, they deserve what they got, or they got what they deserved. They made their bed, let them lie in it. Do you see that attitude here with God at all? No. It's distressing. It should make us sad and sorrowful to know that this is the outcome. The wicked shall be turned into hell. God does not place the wicked in hell Himself. They'll be turned. Why? Because of their actions. They've made choices. They've made choices. And God, because He is merciful and gracious and good and just, will not allow anyone to suffer in hell that has not made the choice to go there. Now, this is by way of introduction. You may say, oh, a lesson on homosexuality. Brethren, I don't think we realize how great this sin is. This particular lesson is along the line designed and prompted because of our upcoming election. Judges are going to be selected by the next President of the United States who are going to either confirm Roe v. Wade or possibly set the stage to overturn Roe v. Wade. Abortion. Decisions are going to be made by the next justices that are appointed, and it's estimated there will be a minimum of 1 and possibly 3 Supreme Court justices that will be appointed. And they're going to determine the legality of the question of homosexuality. If you've been following the news this year at all, you know what's already happened in California. You know that they have got an amendment coming up. A judge there overruled the voice of the people who had said that marriage was a union between a man and a woman. And a judge overruled the people's idea and legalized it. And that is but one of many states. Therefore, the justices, and this will be a Supreme Court decision, probably not one time, but many. And I would suggest to you this morning that I'm not preaching politics. The devil wants us to believe as Christians that we ought not to be involved politically. He wants us to believe that abortion and homosexuality, those are political issues. My friends, I would suggest these are biblical issues. They are moral issues, and they existed far before our two-party democratic system of Republican and Democrats. These are questions that every God-fearing person needs to look at. Not opinion, but what the Bible says. And sadly today, and this is the reason that I am doing this, is because of the amount of ignorance in this country. People don't know what candidate stands for what, who supports abortion, who supports homosexuality, who opposes both of those sins. We need to make sure that our friends and our neighbors and our family know what the Bible says and do what we can in that respect. Sadly, this is not a problem just in America. It certainly can be described as a blight because we look at the confusion. We look at the problems that affect us, but we realize that there are numerous countries around the world who are accepting it. And the sad thing is, it's being accepted as an alternate lifestyle. What does that mean? Our children in elementary school are being told that it's okay for little Susie to have 2 mommies or 2 daddies, that it's as natural and normal as anything else. Our children in grammar school now are being told that homosexuals are born that way. Our children are being told through books in the school libraries, through programs on television, through movies, magazines, that homosexuality is okay. It's normal behavior. This is our children before they reach the age of 10 and 11. Look at the agendas among the educational alliances throughout this country. Alabama's is not any different. Tennessee's was not any different. Every state I've lived in where I've encountered teachers who were Christians, they have battled and fought, and many of them ridiculed because they believe what the Bible says. And they refuse to go along with what the status quo is in our country. There are several states that have actually legalized this. We can go back several years ago and we find that Hawaii perhaps led surprisingly to me, the homosexual revolution as far as legalizing homosexual unions or marriages. We find that there were others then that began to follow suit. And because of the actions of these states, what has been viewed by Bible-believing people as sinful is now considered by some to be sickness, by others to be absolutely normal and natural. That they have every right to live this way. And again, what is so tragic is it begins with our children at a very early age in the schools. It's advocated on television and in movies and magazines. And yes, in the workplace, if you challenge, if you make the wrong statement, especially if you work for Southern Company or one of the large corporations here in the South, you will be sent to sensitivity classes.